Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. We really appreciate you joining us. We have with us Trevor today. Peter with us. So, Trevor, thank you for joining us. We also have the beautiful Lynda as well. Good to see you guys. I hope I'm not delayed. I don't know if I'm delayed or not. So, you guys are going to have to let me know because I've been having obviously some internet trouble here. But how is everybody today?
Oh, I'm doing good. So I'm excited to be here. So I know Peter's got some issues with some stuff going on at home. So it was a nice surprise to get a text from him asking if I could be on today. Yeah, excited to be here. It's good stuff.
We're happy to have you here. It's really good to have, not only an extra, but also, just another perspective sometimes too. So it's really good. We're looking at all four of us being on the show one day, and with a guest. How you doing, Lynda?
I'm doing really well, thank you. It was a really busy, crazy week, but I managed to survive. And today, my eyes are bugging me, so I'm wearing my spectacles. So hopefully, I look a little smarter.
Oh, you always look smart.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, sure. I bet you say that to everybody.
Yeah. Well, I try to tell myself that all the time, but
Geez, how are you, Kathy? How are you doing today?
I'm actually doing really good. I do think we're having a little bit of internet, issues here. So if we are a little bit out of something, try to forgive us. Or we're trying up to the internet or whatever is going on here, I guess. So, yeah, I'm doing really good. I'm actually been, pretty busy. Like I'm sure my channel, Oracle Intuition, if you want to watch, sometimes we do put the show on to the I Want to Believe channel as well. I always encourage people to watch. But we also do stream it on this channel as well. So we hope that you guys join us. There's somebody saying hi, Facebook user. Hi, Kathy. And I'm not sure who you are because it doesn't show your name, but I truly appreciate whoever you are. And if you want to in the comments, that would be great because it doesn't unfortunately always show us who it is that's commenting if they're coming through Facebook. So hello. So Lynda, do you want to tell us about our guest today?
I would love to. So we have a few ladies from, oh gosh, a wonderful team that we have worked with. My team has worked with in the past and hopefully in the future. Black Moon Paranormal Society. I know them as coming from Aurelia, which is sort of close to where I live, but Crystal Pie and her team have been unbelievable, wonderful supporters. We support them. They're awesome. And welcome, Crystal. And I think Vanessa and Jackie from their team are with us today too. So that's kind of exciting. So let's see if they're there. Are they there? Gosh, I hope they are.
Oh, they're there. There they are. All right. So we have with us Crystal Pie,
Hi.
Vanessa Fox, Cahoon. I'm sorry. I see. I did it. How do I pronounce your name? Cunahan. How are you guys doing tonight? How are you? And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. I'm terrific. I'm great.
Doing good. Yep.
So and oh, go ahead.
No, go. You go. I'm interrupting.
No, I was just I'm not super familiar with Canada. You said where were you from again?
So we are about an hour and a half north of Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. In a small town. I'm in Aurelia. Jackie and Vanessa are in Midland, which is not very far from here. 30 minutes, I think.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Great.
So
That's all I was going for, Cathryn. I wasn't familiar with where they were from. So
No,
I know we have a delay. We have a delay. It's kind of
is she delayed still? Okay.
yeah, I think so. But Crystal and Vanessa and Jackie. So how long have you been doing this? I mean, how long has Black Moon Paranormal been in existence? And that's the first question. And then how long have each of you been involved in the paranormal?
So I founded Black Moon in the Kawarthas in 2015. I had a team there. None of the original members are with me. It's hard to keep a group together. People have lives, and sometimes it's not what people expect. And so I moved to the Aurelia area, and a childhood friend, Tammy, became a member. And her and I were kind of doing it with a few ladies, and we asked Jackie and Vanessa. I don't know about how long have you guys been? About a year, I think, a year and a half.
August 28th.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. She's got it figured out. And we have a great team now. We mesh together really well, and I think this is it. I think this is our members, and we're rocking it.
So how many members do you have now?
We do only have 4.
4 members. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, but that's, I helped found a team here in Idaho as well. And so I completely understand the difficulty in retaining good quality members, because that's I think that's the biggest thing, is finding quality team members, over the quantity, because you get so many people that are in it for, they just want a quick thrill, and they don't want to put any effort into the actual investigation and the review and all that stuff. So that's good.
Well, let's face it, it's not as exciting as people see in Hollywood, right? It's a lot of watching videos and listening to audio, and it's not always exciting. And I think that with my history of my teams, I think that's where people have went. They've just got bored with it. That it's not what they expect.
It's like we have Crystal or Cathryn back with us. Let's see. You there, Kathy?
What's that? I am. I'm here. Can you hear me? I don't know if there's a delay or not. Okay. I'm here. I just I think that my internet's delayed, so I will try my best to interact as much as I can. But I noticed that you guys, because we talked about this just a little bit, you guys are all intuitives as well on the team. Is that correct? And do you guys find that do you guys ever clash with what you're picking up?
I just like to add that I'm not intuitive at all. I'm just empathic. I do feel spirit, but these 2 ladies are the experts when it comes to spirit communication. I depend on my ghost boxes and my spidey senses, but these guys know what they're doing.
Could you tell us, and especially for those tuning in, what is the difference between an empath and an intuitive?
I just feel I'm empathic, and I just feel that sometimes I physically can get sick or get a headache, and I just feel off. And these 2 ladies can tell me if they feel if spirit is female, male, child, woman, male. So that's the difference.
And so how do you incorporate that into your investigations?
I'm going to let you guys take over for a bit. You guys can talk about this.
For me, I'm very, it's a knowing, my feelings come into play. My senses are sparked. It's just things that you pick up on when you're entering a room, and you just have a knowing of spirit being there. I have my own kind of little dictionary in my mind of how I interpret whether they're communicating their gender, male, female, old, young. It just sort of comes to me, right? Like I have an inner voice that sort of communicates with me. So, yeah, I just kind of, I open up and I give what I get. So, yeah. How about you?
With myself, I would be what people would know as an external medium. I see more of visions, flashes. There are times where I can interact with spirit, but majority of the time it's visions. And what I love about with being within a paranormal team and using the mediumship skills is, I guess you would say like more of like a validation. I can say, like, say if we walk into a room and there's a particular spirit there, initially, then we know who we could be potentially talking to, and then using whatever equipment we have, we use the interaction to go in more of a depth, I would say.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really fascinating because, it's people ask a lot when we talk about my team and my investigations, if we have empaths or if we have mediums or anybody that helps us out, and we don't. And usually, and if we do, I guess the question I'm trying to get to is, how do you incorporate that into like your overall evidence and things like that? When you feel like there's a male presence there and things like that, are you still using like your voice recorders and things like that to back that up and to help people out that way?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, we use all kinds of equipment, the EMF detectors, ghost boxes. I mean, we use pendulums, thermometers. What else do we use, ladies?
Dowsing rods.
Dowsing rods, that's right, yeah. And my favorite is we often just sit and go in silence and discover what we feel. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I like that you said that, because you can use 1,000,001 pieces of equipment and hoojiggies or whatever you want to call them, but honestly, if you've been doing this for whatever length of time, your best piece of equipment, I think, is always yourself.
That's right.
I like that you actually said that, because that's so true. So true. People miss that.
Yeah. The best piece of equipment we have are our investigators, for sure. And there's nothing like walking into a building and stopping for a second and going, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be good." So, how many investigations have you four done together?
Oh,
we were talking about that earlier. We're trying to figure it out. In the last year, we've done quite a bit, actually. Not all big, but
I would say at least 20.
Yeah.
Wow.
At least 20 this year.
That's great. That is busy.
Yeah.
So
Vanessa is wonderful. She is like, she's on the computer. She's Googling everything. She's harassing people to let us come investigate their buildings. It's wonderful. Is she
for hire?
She's not cheap.
No.
We're not letting her go cheap.
That's it's funny because that's one place that we struggle on our team, is trying to find a solid case manager, somebody that can take, because it's time consuming. It takes a lot of time to try to nail down an investigation. I was a case manager for a number of years, and I was on the computer. I was on the streets. I'd go knock doors if I had to, not residential, but commercial doors. And that would be great. I can just imagine knocking on somebody's house door and say, "Hi, got any ghosts?" So that's great that you have that in place, and that's fantastic that you've had so many investigations. Any investigations that pop up that as more fun or more favorite than any others?
Mine's probably going to be different than you guys, so I'll let you guys answer first.
My favorite one so far, we decided we were very lucky actually to investigate the Penetang library, the Penetang Machine Library. And for me, like starting in the upstairs, it was kind of quiet, but like I just immediately felt like female presence. I just connected with this female presence, and we're kind of doing our stuff upstairs, and like we could literally hear stuff happening in the basement audibly. So we decided to go down, and we very much so with the ghost box like connected with female voice.
They were speaking French to us.
There was so much that happened. It was so exciting because you know how sometimes like it just takes a while. You get something and then there's nothing for hours. Then you get something and you're like sparked back up again. But that was just like, that one was firing constantly. It was just like pretty exciting for me. Yeah.
We got a lot of evidence on the FLIR camera that night as well.
Yeah,
that was like blowing me away. Like every time you get something, even though you've seen, like it's just like makes me even more thrilled than the last time. I don't know. I just love it. Yeah, that was my favorite one so far.
Great.
I think my favorite in the years that I've been doing this, we did a lockdown of Rolling Hills Asylum in Bethany, New York. That place is amazing, and I can't wait to go back. It's definitely on the list to go back.
I would say my favorite. Well, it wasn't a full-on investigation, but I loved what we experienced the very first night that we came out with you guys and you, Lynda, at that local place. That was there was a lot of, for myself personally, with my own moral compass of connecting with spirit, I had connected with so much detail. It was amazing, and that's the one that sticks out in my mind.
Wow, that's really awesome. I know it's true. Sometimes you go to a particular location and it really, I don't know, it just jives with something inside of you. And sometimes you go to one and it's like, well, even though it may be active, there's just something about it that really, I don't know, that doesn't really resonate with you. So I love the fact that we can get into certain places that are so different. There's so many things that happen. And you learn so much, right? I mean, do you find that that's one of the reasons why you do what you do? It's because of the learning curves? Or do you find, I mean, what is it that makes you do what you do? Why do you love it so much?
I'm with Jackie. I think it doesn't matter how much we've seen, experienced. I never lose my passion and my excitement for it when it happens. Never.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you get to like have this experience, and sometimes like you'll go hours, like I said, with nothing, and then you get a little something and you're just like, that was so cool. Then it's even the times in between where it's quiet, I don't know, and then learning stuff about the place afterwards, and just like everybody putting their information together, and that part of it, I just like makes me want to go to another one right away. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, where are we going next? Like, let's do it again.
Coolest debriefing. Yeah, we have the coolest debriefing sessions. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It takes as long as the investigation.
Yeah. And our team makes the best snacks. I'm just going to put that out
there. We do.
So, you talk a little bit about debriefings and things like that during your investigation, because so many of you have some really special gifts. Do you keep a lot of that to yourself during the investigation to yourself, as far as maybe what you're picking up on, and then kind of come together at the end and kind of compare notes? Or are you pretty vocal, kind of using yourselves or as a compass during the investigation to help guide things along?
I would say that it's pretty much almost a 50-50. There's, I think it depending on what we are particularly sensing, what the situation is, all the attributes that are attached to it. But if it's very just different emotions that are heightened, I think it's just mentioned after the fact. I don't know. I would say it's 50-50.
Yeah, we kind of,
I would agree.
We just mesh really well. Like we kind of work well together and kind of like feed off of each other almost, right? Like I don't know, we all, even like Crystal will, if she says she doesn't have gifts, okay, but
yeah.
we disagree with that. But like we all just complement each other. That's the best way to describe it. Is we work well together and our gifts complement each other. It's really good.
And it's very interesting to see how the team, I have a habit of people watch. And so even when I'm out, say with friends or family, or I'm just out watching people walk down the street, I watch how everyone interacts. And it just went from the equipment to the scientific end to the empathic, spiritual, intuitive, and it all seems to mesh together. It's like it's not separated.
That's so
Close.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important.
That's fantastic. So yeah, I think it's it's great that you have that. You know, again, we talk about the quality of team members that we have, and I know our team, we get requests quite a bit of, inquiries as to whether or not we're bringing new team members on and things like that. But as soon as they hear the workload that we put on everybody, that they usually back out pretty quick. So how do you, being such a small team, how do you overcome, because we talk about equipment, and I know, trying to get through that digital investigation portion where you're reviewing all the audio recorders and the video recorders. How long does it take you guys to get through all that to find out if you've caught anything?
Well, I guess it depends on the investigation and how long that is taken, but sometimes it can be days. I've had days later where Jackie or Vanessa or Tammy will get a hold of me and say, I just found this, or I just heard this, so yeah, sometimes days, sometimes weeks. We all work full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult to go back through all of the evidence.
Yeah, that's something that catches a lot of people off guard. When you've got 5 audio recorders and 5 video cameras and all that, and then you just did a 6-hour investigation, that all compounds. It's all got to be gone through. So it's tough when you have regular jobs. I can't wait till somebody figures out a way to get us all paid for this. So we can do it part-time.
It's called winning the lottery.
Yeah.
I know.
We
it's
have
true.
we have a question from Dale, and he's asking. Just a second. I'm just going to what is your dream place to investigate?
I got to answer this because I know Dale, and Dale and I have had this conversation, and we're going to Alcatraz. That's where I want to go. I don't know about these ladies, but I want to go to Alcatraz.
Yes, I want to go to England.
Me too. Yeah.
That'd be
There's so
good.
many places in England. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Castles and cemeteries, and just need to stay there for a couple months and just get her done.
Again, we got to win that lottery.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, my wife wants to go to Ireland and to Scotland, and I want to hit some of those old castles and some places like that. So, yeah.
Scotland would be beautiful to visit, or just to investigate, especially some of the cemeteries. Oh, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Oh God, can you imagine? Okay, so what I'm going to ask every member, what was probably the most memorable or scariest, I would think, thing that has happened to you on an investigation that either took you by surprise or, upon review, you went, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. What was it?
Lynda always asks this question because she always knows I'm going to answer this. So I'm going to let you guys go first.
Well, other than the bats dive bombing us, that took me a little bit off course because I tend to have that happen a lot. For me, that Penang library, we were watching the FLIR camera, and I assumed Tammy was on my right side, and but it's dark, right? So you're just kind of like, you're in the moment, and my hair physically moved, and I felt my neck be touched. So I turned to say, is everything okay? And she wasn't there. And I just kind of went, okay then. So that took me a little bit off of, like, I had never experienced the physical, so that really took me a little bit. But I don't know, I'm a little bit weird because it didn't scare me. It did kind of make me go, but yeah, I don't know. That was my time.
Was that a residential or a commercial property?
It's their town library, yeah. So, like a public property, yeah. But it used to be, back in the day, it was like an actual jail of the town. And it was really cool. I liked that one a lot.
We're going to take Lynda back there because we did get an invite to go back.
Yes.
Yeah. It'll be awesome.
I'm there. Just let me know when.
Okay.
Nice.
So for myself, it wasn't an investigation I had. Pardon me? Hello?
What happened?
Okay.
Kathy might have froze again.
I think so.
Oh, I said, how about you, Vanessa? But
okay. Well, my story, I have many stories that has happened over the years, but this one is not particularly an investigation. It was a residential home, and it was somebody that I know, they were going through a lot of experiences, and they had contacted the appropriate people. They had brought in a team and other different people. But prior to that, she had asked me if I would go in her home, and because her and her family had fled the house. And she wanted me to come in and help her kind of organize before she had strangers tromping through her home. And knowing that it usually doesn't take me a lot to get scared. I may scream, but honestly, I'm not a scaredy cat. So when I went in there, to this day, I've not been able to figure out what I had experienced. But the only way I can describe to people is that it honestly felt like somebody grabbed my face, and for the rest of my life, I will never forget. I could feel a thumb pushing down on my cheekbone, and obviously there was nobody grabbing my face. This is a story that I could prolong even longer, but needless to say, I had left the situation. I did a proper cleansing. I went to a local shaman to do a full cleanse on me and everything. I would say that would be my most scariest.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I have very few experiences of being touched on an investigation, but I've never been touched in an aggressive manner.
It was very aggressive
before. And how did everything resolve okay with that family? Are they doing better now?
Yes, they were able to do the proper cleansing. They had like a couple different, I think they had a paranormal team come through. I want to say they maybe even had a priest come in. They did a whole bunch of different things to the home. And well, I spoke to her a couple months ago. This happened a couple years ago when this happened. But the last time I spoke to her, I think she still has her, whatever still has been left in the home, they all cohabitate together now. So, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, Crystal, you're up.
There we go. Mine I'm going to try to condense it because mine's really long, but mine involves a local Catholic church that the church and the grounds were historically have been haunted for. My father talks about how they would go there when they were kids because I've already talked about how haunted it was. And, so there was a few of us that went up one night, and we met a gentleman up there that identified himself as a priest. And he was very dark. And we felt like we were there maybe about an hour. This gentleman was just weird. And we left. And when we left, when we got off the property, we realized that like 5 or 6 hours had went by. We couldn't account for this time. And so the next day, the other member who's not here, got a hold of me and said, I have something to show you. And she sends me a picture. Is this the man we were talking to last night? And I said, it was definitely 100%. And I said, how did you get his picture? And she said, it's in the newspaper. It's his obituary. And so it was a very I almost stopped doing this because of it. It was very difficult. I know I spoke to Lynda about it. It really upset me, and we went back as a really strong team. Lynda's team went back, and our full team went back to see if we could make contact again, and we didn't. But the energy there was crazy. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty amazing story. That would be, that's got to be an all-time top 10 experience for sure. Did you have a name for the priest at all? Were you able to figure that out?
Oh yeah, we did have the name because of the obituary. And he wasn't a priest. He was the caretaker of the graveyard. So he wasn't even a priest. And I think we kind of knew that the whole time he was talking to us. He was just it was a very peculiar situation. He was making inappropriate comments. And at one point, he smacked me in the face. Like it was craziness. And like I said, it felt like maybe an hour. We were there 5 hours, and we couldn't account for any of that time. So it really bothered me. And I had this long conversation with Lynda about it. And we decided that to try to maybe make some closure of it. And we took both of our teams and a lot of really talented, strong people, and we went back. And we didn't see him, but the energy was crazy.
That's it. Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. That's pretty amazing. And when you say the energy was crazy, what were you picking up on?
It was just, I mean, these two came with me as well, and it was just really dark and oppressing. I felt these guys have a much deeper, darker story, of what they experienced there. But it was just weird and crazy.
And that speaks to the testament of your dedication too, to have an experience like that. To be able to overcome that shock and that fear that sometimes happens to all of us, and to be able to get back in there, and that's what true investigation is. This is like, nope, we're going to pony up and we're going to figure this out. So, is the place still active to your knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably has been for the last 100 years, and I'm sure it won't be the last visit we have there either.
1 year anniversary coming up.
Yeah.
I think we need to
drive
go
by
back.
it in the daytime, and I drove by it like this.
I know. I hate driving by there.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I still want
funny because when we went, it was light out, and it felt very normal. And then as the sun starts going down, the energy starts changing, and it starts becoming, very dark. And you can feel it. It rushed in, it
did. The strangest thing is, and Trevor, I'm sure you can attest to feeling this at certain locations. And in this one, it was just incredible. We were there for quite a few hours, but what happened at the end, we all sort of came together at one point near the end of the investigation. And all of a sudden, it was almost as if something said to all of us, you need to leave. And you need to leave now. And I don't think I've ever listened to that as much and as quickly as I did that night. And remember that, ladies? It was hilarious. It was all of a sudden, everybody just got in their car and just took off, because we knew that if we had stayed a little while longer, something was going to happen, but it wasn't going to be pleasant, and none of us wanted to really know what that was. And now that I think about it, it's like I want to go back because I want to push that boundary now. Yeah. It wasn't ready, but now I'm ready. I want to go. I want to push that boundary and see what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's just it, as investigators, that's what we do. We like to push those boundaries. We try to push those buttons to get that evidence and figure things out. I'm curious, when you went back with your full team and other investigators, did you have men with you that the second time, or was it all females again?
All females.
All females again, because I know that in locations, we say, okay, well, a lot of the females have certain types of experiences that, for whatever reason, the guys aren't having. And if that is, you find that more of a hindrance if you don't have more males with you, or is it more of a blessing that you don't have more males with you on some of these investigations? Or
well, I know the last time we did Prince Edward Heights, we had one male with us, and the investigation was very different with the male. We didn't have as much activity as we did the visit before, and I believe, Lynda, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in history, we were the only all-female team that's ever completed Prince Edward Heights.
Yes.
Yeah, so the investigation was very different with the male.
Well, and that's good to know. And there's times where, if a client, claims that things are only happening when she's around, but when her significant other or spouse is there, then things calm down. I'll put together an all-female team to send in to try to stir up that activity. And I commend all of you for doing that. I think that's fantastic. I can only think of 2 times that I've ever been in a location where it was like, I felt like, I needed to leave. And one was in a dark, dirty basement in a commercial building. And there was a place where we were walking through, and it was almost like I hit an invisible wall, and I just stopped. And you could just feel that negative, just, somebody pointing at you, you stay back. And I just kind of like, oh, not going there. Okay, we'll turn around and leave. And there was another time that we actually caught on a recorder where we were sitting in an office building, and I remember just all of a sudden, I just kind of stood up and said, "We need to leave." And so we all stood up and went out. And when we went and reviewed the audio, you could hear a voice say, "Get out," that none of us heard. It only came across EVP, and immediately I got up and said, "We need to go." And I thought that was interesting because I'd never had anything like that, and I hadn't really put 2 and 2 together. Is that something that happens to you ladies commonly? Is that kind of how you pick up on things?
Yeah, I know when I went to Rolling Hills Asylum, there's parts of the asylum that I was just physically unable to enter. And every time I told the lady that owns Rolling Hills, I couldn't go into that hallway, and she said, "Oh, that makes sense because there's a portal there," or "That makes sense because that's where the most activity is," right? So I got very, very ill when we went to Rolling Hills, but it's probably one of the most active places that I've been. I would definitely go back.
We have a question coming through from Facebook user. I'm not sure who this person is, but they're asking, do you think women are more intuitive?
No.
I think that
women recognize it more.
Yeah, maybe women are more open to exploring that. But I think that, it's not a gender thing. I think people have gifts of all different genders, and yeah.
So when asking that question, I think of my husband, and my husband is he's a man's man. He doesn't believe in any of the stuff that I do, but he is my number 1 cheerleader. But intuitively, it blows my mind. If he was more willing to accept his gifts that he has, he would surpass so many of us. And with my full-time job that I do, I work with a lot of different people, and I don't get a lot of men, but when men do come through my business, they are very, as soon as they can just put past their ego, like put down those boundaries, I do believe that they have a more, I don't know if you want to say a more stronger connection, where women, we're just a little more crazy, so we don't care and we accept with whatever we have. Men have a lot of more low self-esteem than women, as much as they portray to be not.
Yeah, for sure. I think guys are worried they're going to appear weak or strange. You know, they don't want to be different. And I know we have much more of a tendency to rationalize things that come across, things that we feel, things that even things that we see. You know, we will rationalize them as something that is going to appear more normal, more masculine. And we try to ignore, you know, those inward feelings so we can project that sense of strength or, you know, masculinity. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely.
I was told once by a gal that I highly respect, and one of the few mediums that I believe could really be the real deal, and that's that. And I want to touch on that too. With you ladies as well, but she brought up a point to me that, you know, she talks about these extra gifts, these special gifts that people have, that they're gifts that are inherently human. They're gifts that everybody has. They are just more prevalent in some people than others. No different than, you know, athleticism is more prevalent in certain people. You know, somebody's really good at playing basketball. It doesn't mean that I can't play basketball. It just means I might not be at the level of that person, you know, but I can actually practice and I can work out and I can, you know, learn to be a better player. Or, you know, and how do you ladies feel about that? Is that something that you've noticed, that maybe more people have these gifts than they realize? And, you know, how is it that somebody can learn how to control those gifts and those feelings that they're having?
So my business is, I do a lot of mentorship and counseling when it comes to intuitive building and psychic development. And so, yes, 100% everybody has these abilities, just not 100% choose to listen to their own compass within themselves. In order to embrace it is just really starting off by listening to your intuition and then building from there and being open-minded. The more open-minded you are, the more growth you will have for yourself.
And trusting yourself too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because a lot of times we hear or feel something, but we tend to put it off to something else. Like we don't trust our own feelings or what it is that we're seeing or hearing or whatever. It's a whole different, we have to learn to trust ourselves.
We did an investigation and a workshop in Stratford, Ontario at a active location. And we did an exercise with perhaps 30 people that said they didn't have any intuitive skills at all. And we did some meditation and we did an exercise, and one person walked out of the room. So 29 people were actually right in their intuitive abilities. And that blew me away. I was like, it was amazing to see that. Mm-hmm. And the lady did the workshop. She predicted that. She said, everyone's going to come up with something that's going to be 100% true. And it was very interesting. And I do believe that. I do believe everybody has the ability. It's just, we have to figure out how to do it. You know, we have to reach deep and find it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you overcome? So like when it comes to, and you know, we talk about, well, for example, we just went to a festival called Goddess Fest where we had a booth, and it was a very diverse group of people that came to this, and it was pretty fun. And they had a couple of psychic reading booths where people could go in and, they'd give them $30-$40 and they'd get this psychic reading. And my daughter went in and to one of these, and she came out and she wasn't real happy with the experience she had. She was a little bit upset about it, and I kind of had to calm her down and, say, okay, well, just understand that a lot of these things are for entertainment only. And that, I think that's how a lot of people see people with these gifts. It's like, it's for entertainment only. That it's not real. It's, it's about, reading facial expressions and, just picking up on social cues and things like that. How do you overcome that as investigators when you're presenting evidence and things like that to people who don't necessarily believe in what you, in the gifts that you have?
I'll let you guys answer that.
Myself, I have kind of restructured of who I am. I do not like to be called a psychic medium. I'm not a circus act. So I pursued in different ways from grief and bereavement counseling. So I can work with somebody that is a believer or to a non-believer with a spiritual twist to it. And then with the investigations, what I do is I want people to see it more as a healing. I would love to be able to take that stigma that Hollywood has put in there. Everything we do is a form of healing, right down, say, to the paranormal meetups. If you have a family, like, for example, me growing up, we lived in a very Amityville horror house. And I'm glad I have a family that I was able to talk about it. But I could not imagine not having family or friends that I couldn't talk. So these meetups are very therapeutic for all mental health, for them to be able to talk about what they experience or what they think they believe in. And then going into the investigations, like Crystal is very focused on, the home consultations and working with families, getting a deeper understanding if it is a scientific explanation too, or could it be a spiritual. It's really wanting people to see the science out of it and how it's, I guess you can say, it's more of a therapeutic session. I think that's the word I want to say. I don't know. Jackie?
My whole thing is when I connect to spirit, I'm not embellishing. I'm not making things up. I'm just giving what I'm getting. That's my job. I'm just a conduit. So, for instance, we go to a home consultation and I pick up on spirits. So I'm trying to think, do I say this? Do I not? No, it's not up to me. If I'm getting it, it's my job to give it if they're willing to receive it. So I ask the permission and I'm just giving what I get. And I've kind of, been lucky in a sense that people are open to it. If someone said they weren't, then I wouldn't deliver the message. And the times that I have delivered it and put away my scaredy pants because I'm afraid I'm going to, say the wrong thing, but how can it be wrong if it's coming from spirit? You know what I mean? So I've been able to connect people with messages and it's been profound for them and healing. So,
well, and knowledge helps them as well. If you can understand even a fraction of what you're experiencing, if it's science or the beyond, it does eliminate some fear. One main thing I've noticed with different families I've met up with is a lot of poltergeist activity is usually when they have young adolescents in the home. And it's because they're not in control of their own energy. So if you teach them different grounding techniques, that will lighten that poltergeist activity. If it is from the adolescence, but majority of the time it is. Crystal?
I honestly thought Vanessa was going to say this, but Vanessa told me one time just that sometimes the messages that they receive, they're only giving you the messages and how they receive it, and maybe it's their interpretation. And if the psychic interprets it wrong, the message may be wrong. That doesn't mean. You would explain this better. That she said spirit's never wrong. It's the interpretation of the message that's wrong.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that happens, just as, people are talking too, right? When we talk about that communication having, you got the sender, the medium, and the receiver. And anything in between can cause that miscommunication. I can only imagine I can't imagine how that must be to receive a message, a spiritual message like that you're trying to convey. So, and I'm just kind of running with all these questions because I'm super curious about, is it, are you talk about seeing images? Are you hearing words? I mean, how does that work?
It's a mixture of everything.
Yeah.
There is people out there that will have more of a prominent sense, but I think I can probably speak for you as well. I think Jackie and I, with myself, I can walk into a situation not knowing what sense is going to be heightened, and I could hear something, or I can see something, or sometimes it's all integrated. And I think you're pretty much almost the same.
Yeah. It's not like an audible, like you're hearing us talking right now for me, anyhow. It's an inner hearing. I hear it loud and clear, or I'll have a flash and I'll be hearing them and see like a scene. It's hard to describe. Think of it like a broken telephone. It's kind of like that. Mm-hmm. So you're getting little tidbits, and it's just learning. It's like anything. It's a muscle. You have to work it. You have to learn. Mm-hmm. You have to
trust.
You have to trust is the big thing, and just keep going in there, and if you say, I'll say, you got to give me something else here. It's like, I'm not getting this, so work with me here, being open to receive, and then trusting in what they're giving you and delivering that to the person. It's hard to describe.
Yeah. That's how I receive messages a lot too, is it could come in a single word. All of a sudden it could be a vision. It might be just one article, or one item. And sometimes I have to ask somebody else, say, does this make sense to you? Like I might see an apple, you know what I mean? But for them, they'll know exactly what it is that I'm talking about, especially if we're trying to connect with one particular person, and it will show up as one thing. And then as soon as they sort of validate, or they know what it is that I'm talking about, it's like spirit opens up this whole world for me to sort of walk down a path of. And all of a sudden it's like, it's almost like everything kind of flows in, and then you've got to kind of stop and go, okay, just give me a second. Let me interpret or get the energy from something. Because sometimes it can come through as energy sometimes, and then you have to figure out, okay, well, what exactly are you saying? So that's where you got to talk to that client and be like, okay, this is the energy I'm receiving. If you understand this energy, we can continue with the message. But sometimes there'll be visions, or you just hear it in your head. Like you'll hear one word, or you'll hear a whole phrase, or it'll show you a vision or something. And it's fascinating because each time it can be different too. It kind of depends on the spirit itself that's coming through as to how do they want to, or what ability that they might particularly have to be able to connect with you.
When, and Kathy, you too, and Lynda, I don't know if I don't know you well enough yet to know, are you gifted as well?
I'm very intuitive. Yep. After having done this for, 41 years, I'm really able to pick up on specific things when I'm doing an investigation, or just in regular life, which is often really disconcerting, but that's another thing. But yeah, it's an interesting thing to be able to do that, because it really adds another dimension to what we do. If you're not able to do that, I think the people that you work with on a team really do look to you for direction at certain times, especially when they're not picking up anything with their instruments, or something is not happening, but something is absolutely happening within the environment and the atmosphere that they can't pick up on, but your intuitives can. So I think it's a really important dimension. But listen, you said something, Crystal, or one of you, maybe Vanessa, you said that you have meetups, and that reminds me, I think that's a really good thing to do. So do you go and have like meetings with the public or things like that to introduce yourselves and what you do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an open, safe space for people to discuss their paranormal stories. Because as we all know, people don't like sharing their stories. They don't want people to think they're crazy, and it's just a safe space to come and talk about it.
I like that quite a bit, and as much as, I think we forget that, especially if we've been doing this for a good amount of time, that people aren't comfortable a lot of times sharing those stories, and provide that, I think, is fantastic, because nobody wants to feel like they're crazy, and
No,
nobody
and
wants to feel like they had odd personality.
I know with my experience that people they'll talk to you about it, but when you say, hey, I'm going to bring in my team, we're going to see what we can do to help you out. And they're like, oh, a team and equipment. And no, they don't want their neighbors to know. Like it turns into it's a panic. They just, they don't want you there, because they're scared. Right. So this does give them a platform where they can talk to other people and talk to us.
What I'm just curious, how old, like all of you ladies, I'm the only person here that seems to be talentless. But how old were you when you discovered that you had these gifts, and how did you work through that?
My family has, when I was 2-3 years old, I would give them premonitions. I would tell them so-and-so was here, telling me stuff. And so this has been always very involved in my life. It's kind of like, I sound like a morbid child with some of the things that I had my aunts that would refuse to babysit me because I'd scare them. So
I love it.
So it's something that I've always been, like, all my life, I've always been involved. If it's from interest to, just, it's funny looking back now with the different phases. But I went on to full visions, to dreams. Then it went into, like, I really fell into the love of paranormal when in my 20s. And then when I hit it early 30s, it was like I just all of a sudden said, I don't care. I'm not going to hide who I am anymore. And I really embraced the mediumship side. But yeah, I had some pretty creepy stories when I was a kid. Jackie?
I think for me, as a
I have a question. Sorry, guys. Somebody's asking. I'm as intuitive as a golf ball. Do you think it makes it harder to be objective or open to paranormal activity? I'll just put that.
I think that whether you're intuitive or not, everyone is very capable of experiencing paranormal activity. It doesn't care if you're intuitive or not. If it wants you to know, it will let you know. Yeah, definitely. There's people who don't believe and then something happens and they're like, oh my gosh, this is happening to me. Like, how is this happening? It's so I think that intuitive or not, you can very well experience it.
When we bring guests with us on some of our investigations, I love to bring people that are very skeptical. I love it. The more skeptical they are, the better. I love it. It's wonderful. And we had a lady on the team that was like a huge skeptic, and it was great because sometimes she would ground us a little bit. She would say, no, like she would give her opinion of what she thought it was, and we said, this is great. It keeps us focused.
Well, that's why we have all that gear that we carry around too, right? To help back that up. It's like I was saying, I don't think that I have intuitive. I don't think I'm intuitive or anything like that. I've had some experiences that I can't explain, but for me, it's being able to have that intuitive person and then come back with that voice and says, see, here it is. This is what our person was saying that they were picking up on, and then we've got this to back it up, and there you go. So that those that don't have those gifts, we have that tangible evidence to present for those that are skeptical and things like that. I think that's great.
And I'm very much like you, Trevor. Like I have no gifts. Like physically, my body, I get headaches. I feel nauseous. That doesn't help the team any. I'm still working on how to deal with that. I mean, and Vanessa's helping me with that, grounding myself a little bit. But yeah, I can tell you if there's something around. But that's
how I am.
My belly hurts.
I walk into a building and like I said, I'll walk in and I'll be like, oh yeah, this is going to be good, or like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
But I know we're running low on time, and I'm just curious. So, have any of you had that mic drop moment where, you were having an investigation, you were saying this is going to be this is going to be this, and you came back with that piece of evidence that you were like, boom, see, told you.
Yes. It was at Princeton Heights. It was a military base and mental health facility. And I had on the FLIR camera, we had a soldier show up on the FLIR camera, and you could tell it was a soldier because you could see the hat. And it was like, we lost a member that night that wanted to join, and as soon as she seen the FLIR camera, this man show up on the FLIR camera, she was like, I'm done. And she left, right? So it was amazing. It was amazing. Still
That's
probably
awesome.
the best piece of evidence that I've ever gotten.
That's fantastic. Vanessa, Jackie, how about you?
Jackie, you want to go?
You go first. I'm still thinking.
So I apologize. So the question was a mic drop?
What was your mic drop moment where it was just like, you were picking up on that energy, you were doing there, and you come back with that tangible evidence that you're just like, boom, see, told you.
Mine, if there was a couple months difference in between the experience and then having the evidence put right in front of me. I was at a graveyard church place, and anytime I would walk close to the church building, I felt very like my throat was being closed, like I was being strangled, and I kept hearing these initials, and I kept hearing the last person that lived here did not die of his own hands. And then a month later, after the fact, I was hosting a class, and these two women that were in the class, they weren't even from the town I live in. They come to the class, and it's something totally not paranormal. And the one woman says, oh, I follow you on TikTok, and I saw your TikTok at this church. Tell me what you picked up on it. So I tell her. She goes, well, were you ever told why? I'm like, no. And I guess years ago, like say probably 20 years ago or so, there was a man that was hung the front of the church, like on the front stoop. He was hung. And rumor throughout the town was that he did not he didn't die of his own hands. He had that done to him. And it was like, that would be my mic drop. I'm like, really? Because it was so clear that night with what I was experiencing and hearing. Yeah. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, maybe our Stratford investigation, as soon as we walked into this beautiful old inn, like I just knew I needed to go to the staircase. It was just like calling me on every level. And then later that night, we decided we were doing our own investigation, and we went to the staircase, and I could feel the energy. I could feel spirit trying to meld with me. That's the only way I can describe it. I don't know if that's a word, but that's what the word I can think of. And Crystal had the FLIR camera, and I'm like, I can feel spirit is trying to come out. So in my mind, I'm like puffing out my aura, like back off a little bit. You're getting a little too close. And you could see, as I'm saying this on the FLIR camera, you could see spirit trying to come up and like mesh with me. And I know the moment I'm like standing my ground and puffing myself out, and you can see it retreating. seeing the evidence after and seeing the video after feeling that and saying the words, it was just like, holy, like that was cool, like really neat. Yeah, I like that.
That's great. And what a validation, to those senses and those feelings too. That's fantastic. So, Kathy, you ever had a mic drop moment? Is she frozen again? Oh wait, maybe.
Am I frozen? I can't tell. I might be frozen.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you have for young people or people who think that they have these gifts and maybe they don't know how to deal with it? Because I don't know if that's something that you can just shut off whenever you want, or when you're walking down the street, you're just constantly being pestered by spirits. What advice do you give to people, and where can they seek mentorship and help with those gifts?
Am I talking?
I think you have to set boundaries, but I only know that because of being taught that, right? Because I didn't set boundaries in the beginning, and we live in the physical world and spirit does not, and so they don't have time or space. So if it's 3 a.m. and they want to contact you, then they can. But you have to get up for work in the morning. So a teacher taught me that I need to set boundaries. For me, I sought out circles or a group where I could learn and enhance my gifts and learn about my gifts, even because at first I was kind of very standoffish about learning anything. I didn't want anything to do with it. I was like, no, I don't have these gifts. It's not happening. But then you can't. Sometimes it's not you have them. You need to either accept them or turn your back on them. And I wanted to accept them, so I sought out groups where I could learn and teachers that could teach me different things, and not just in mediumship, but in other modalities, so that I could open up more to my mediumship and become more open and learn different things. I've had many, many great teachers, which is how I met Vanessa. So that all kind of worked out for me.
That's awesome.
Sorry, I dropped out there for a second.
That's okay. You're back. That's all that's important. So, you know what? I know that we're running out of time, and I want to make sure that everybody at home knows who you guys are, where they can get a hold of you, how they can, see what you do, follow you on social media. So take it away, Crystal. How can they do that?
Okay, so again, we're Black Moon Paranormal, and right now you can reach us on Facebook, Black Moon Paranormal, and we will do investigations if you need us to. You can contact us, and if you have any questions or if you want to come to any of our meetings, and I'll leave that to Vanessa because she handles all of the paranormal meetups, so maybe she has some information about that.
The paranormal meetups, we're always looking to go to different towns, the different local towns around us. Right now, we are holding them in Midland, Ontario, at my business, The Den. And they are held once a month, but we are always wanting to meet up with people from all different places. So if you're near us within Simcoe County, or even, I guess, beyond Simcoe County, but you reach out to us and we can arrange one.
For sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes,
We always
thank
love
you
it.
for having us.
You guys are amazing. Thank you. And all of you at home, I know Kathy, you want to say a couple of words. Hopefully you won't fade away.
Hopefully I won't freeze. I just wanted to say thank you so much, ladies. We're gonna, when we go off, you can just stay on if you want for a few seconds or whatever. But we just appreciate you guys, being here for us. We truly, truly appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to meet all of you. Crystal, we've met you before, and again, it's always a pleasure. So thanks
Thank you.
everybody. All right. Take care, everyone, and thanks for watching. Make sure that you've clicked subscribed, and catch us next week. All right.